Hey everybody, today's episode of the R&R Show is brought to you by Skull Tales. And welcome friends, I'm Ruel, this is Chris. Ray is off out and about today, but we have the celebration balloons there. Chris, how the heck are you, my friend?
Because we're back. We're back with the R&R show. We're back with another list, and we're back with the top adventure games and a fitting list for our sponsor today from Skull Tales,
Agreed.
which is a big old pirate adventure game. You can have yourself not just a jolly time, but a Jolly Roger time.
Oh,
I thought of that before we started filming, and I decided I
perfect.
needed to cram it in there.
Yes, and speaking of cramming it in, Chris, I barely could cram the game into my table here, my streaming table. As you can see, folks, this is just some of the components you're going to get in the game, and this is not. I have not actually set up game. I've just taken a bunch of the stuff out here because I want to show it off as best as we could here. This is a pirate game. Now, it is a cooperative, semi-cooperative game, I should say, not a total cooperative. But it's a semi-cooperative game for about 1 to 5 players, so you can play solo. It's about pirates, so you're getting out there, building your ship, and hopefully, getting the loot, as you will, in the game. And you're going to have to be careful because over there on Tortuga Island, going to be some challenges you're going to face, so you want to level up as well. I wanted to showcase some of the minis, which are absolutely gorgeous. These minis are great.
I was just about to put you on the spot. I was going to say, where are the minis, Ruel? And I was going to get you to run around and go off camera and find all of your boxes of minis. But you know what? You're too quick for me.
I'm glad you asked that. Here are the minis right here, folks. So I have a few up on the board. Very nice sculpt. Let me see if I can show you a little more close up there. Look at that. Okay. And some of these, I really dig them. Now, I'm not a mini painter, so what I do is if I really like a game,
I'm a famed mini painter, but you go ahead, Ruel. What do you do?
what I do is ask friends, hey friends, are you busy this week or weekend or month? And would you mind? And of course, I pay them for their efforts. I have a couple of games like that where I leave it up to the experts like you, Chris, who know how to paint minis.
See, my expertise is not paying my friend Zach and throwing him all of my minis and making him do it for me and saying, Zach, if you don't get these painted, I'm never speaking to you again. And I really sort of hold it over his head that way. So yours, it's the pirate way. It's a pirate code way of dealing.
Very thematic. Yes.
You gotta give and take. You gotta string them up with their bootstraps and hit them with your cutlass.
Yes.
That's what I do to Zach and was doing before the minis, to be fair. That's just something we like to do together.
I love it.
But that's for another
cutlass.
stream.
Great word. Cutlass is a very piratey word, Chris. Well done. So we have some of these there's just a couple of the boards I wanted to highlight. You're going to be playing in campaign mode, folks. So it's a very narrative driven game. Really cool. And some of them you're going to be, on land. But of course, pirates, you're going to be on sailing the high seas with, trying to figure out where are you going to go and get those the piratey stuff, the piratey goods. Let's look at some of the player cards. Cards, lots of different characters to play through with different abilities and whatnot. And here you go.
I always love a good asymmetric character, and I think anything too where, because this is an action point system, and so like anything where the character has different action points also excites me because I'm like, oh man, I only have 2 action points. My character must be super strong, right? It kind of gives you an in into that way, which I think is neat.
Agreed. Oh, this one I wanted to highlight. I love the skeleton character. Look at this. Just the artwork's really solid, and this is I don't know. I was thinking like a little King Kong vibe here with the cursed
Sweet
one.
Monkey Man. The cursed one.
Love that.
More like the blessed one. I mean, look at those pecs. Come on now.
And of course the officer and so forth. So yeah, lots going on here. Again, I really like the help meters. It looks like a little like a map book or whatever, but you'll be spinning those there. You got your events. You have all your goods. So you'll be leveling up your characters. Hopefully getting the. Oh, here's rum. I just happened to stumble upon the rum. That's a good one.
Just happened to stumble upon the rum.
Look at that.
It just happened. Oh, what a quit! No, you were searching for that rum.
What a coinky dinky, folks, the rum. And you have your pistols and everything else. So you have your weapons and stuff. And then, of course, I don't want to spoil anything here. These are going to be event cards that are going to come up in the campaign. And You have it's really neat. You have a couple of different phases. So here's the adventure guide here. That's the main one, and then you're going to be going into this book right here, Chris, which is the campaign book, Shadows of the Caribbean.
Right.
And you'll have
and then each expansion has their own like campaign little campaign booklet. Hey.
Yep. So yeah, that is just a quick look, folks, at our sponsor, Skull Tales, today. So thank them for sponsoring today's episode. Chris, that's got me in a piratey mood. I don't know.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in Skull Tales 2, they're on GameFound right now. So I think when I was checking, they have 15 days left. I'm excited to do a deep dive in my crowdfunding countdown show as well, to go down with them. And we probably have a link as well too.
Yes.
Okay, Rel, that we can probably drop in the chat. Or if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be down below as well.
That's right. So we're doing it live. I'm going to drop the link in just a minute here. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to drop the link. I will drop that in the YouTube description. You'll be able to find it there. So thanks again to Skull Tales. You know, Chris, I was going to say the pirate games got me in a piratey mood for the R and R show.
I'm sorry I cut you off. That was too good.
That's my one joke for the show. I think we're going to... We'll just leave.
Well, you know what's not a joke? Feldfan. We want to shout out Feldfan. Subscribe with Prime. Been subscribed for 31 months.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Feldfan.
Feldfan.
Nice.
That's
very
awesome.
Cool. Shout out to Feldfan and shout out to you all for hanging out with us today. We're going to be talking about our top 12 adventure games, and we think it's so Skull Tales, obviously a terrific adventure game. I'm looking at Richard, actually. He's on a brand new adventure.
A wild adventure.
Yeah, I feel like we are truly international now, Chris. I mean, you're in Canada.
Yeah.
I'm here in the States, and we've got Richard across the pond, as they would say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in a duck pond. He's in the middle of a duck pond. And we're like, Richard, you said you were moving, and he just found a duck pond, and that's it.
Oh,
but,
well.
You know, he's got a lot of green screen going on for him. It's really just outside his house previously. He's just developed a big old duck pond and then put up a lot of fancy lighting. Don't let him tell you any different. If he's showing you these views, he's just, it's trickery, I swear. But we needed it for the international presence that we wanted to establish here.
That's right.
On the high seas.
Oh, friends. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about adventure games, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we've all got on the list. And Chris, do we need to take care of anything else? I think we're good, right?
I think we're good. Well, Ruel, how did you decide upon your list? Because for me, like adventure game is sort of a broad term, but also BGG thankfully has a category called adventure game. So I was like, great, I'm going to steal some of those to cram them in. But for me, I was thinking about like the idea of the adventure and going on a journey and that sort of sense of discovery. I don't know what you were thinking about. When you were thinking for your list.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Chris. So I was trying to get out of that mode, and I don't know how successful I was. Of just, for me, I hear adventure, I immediately think of Indiana Jones, right? It's like, okay, put on the fedora and go out and explore or whatever. But I was trying to get out of that. Hopefully I picked some that weren't. I just, like you said, just that sense of discovery, right? And I think that's the big one. Whether you're doing, things on, archaeological digs, or if you're in space or whatever, I think there is that common theme of discovery in adventure games. Sort of like when you go to Ireland and discover that you have a very beautiful view of the land around you, and we'll save that as a segue later into Richard's segment. But yeah, I think that's how I approach it, Chris. So cool. All right.
Well, let's get into the list. I'm starting off with number 12, right?
Yes.
All right, so my number 12 is a game that I will go grab so I can show off my awesome insert that I made for it later on. But it's called Catacombs. I don't know if I've mentioned on this list before, but it's a dexterity dungeon crawler. When I think of adventure, I was really thinking of dungeon crawling games as well. So I think that's probably why. Like this was on when I did a dungeon crawling list on my own channel. I was thinking about this one, and Catacombs is something that is still very unique in its experience and one that I have not seen replicated. So if you like Crokinole and you like dungeon crawling, you should get Catacombs. That's just it. You have 4 heroes. There's always going to be a team of 4 heroes. I find it plays best at 2 players because one player then controls the overseer, which is all the monsters, and sets up the dungeon essentially. They're like the GM. And then the other character controls all 4 characters. But you can just play it where, with 4 people each controlling one character as well. You just get less flicks. And so you will set up a dungeon. You have a couple of different mats, and then the overseer will spew out a bunch of different villains, and they all have different categories of how much health they have. And then you, as the heroes, have to flick the discs and hit the villains, just like I think Jen was doing on that villain right there. And you go through a bunch of different waves. And so there'll be a bunch of dungeon cards that you set up beforehand with increasing difficulty. It's designed that like the overseer is going to just whittle down your health with death by 1,000 cuts, and you'll only have like one stop along the way where you can actually heal and revive stuff. And so it's like really balancing your heroes, your characters' journeys. You'll get stronger over the course of time, and you'll go on this little adventure. There's also a little mode on BGG as to the best way to randomize the dungeon and to set it up in a way, which is fun. I like sometimes creating branching paths and having like one shop in one direction and one like healing in another direction. And with all the paths being face down, they don't know which is the best way to go to hit their shop or something. And if they want to double back, they could. There's a bunch of different ways you can set it up, but I like it in that that idea of characters going forth, having to defeat wave after wave, setting forth on this dungeon, discovering these things as it occurs, teching up with items. I always find that's sort of key to adventure games for me as well. That sensation of teching up and that sensation of going out, getting something done and then returning. That's a flow that I like. And so I wanted to put Catacombs on here because I think it's pretty unique and interesting and can feel like an adventure, and is something that I haven't yet gotten rid of. Even though I haven't played it in a while, it's still like not in danger from leaving on my shelf, because I look at it, I go like, I haven't played this in a while, but it's so good, and it's just like so unique an experience that I really, really enjoy it. Have you played Catacombs, Ruel?
No, I haven't. I love this choice because I think you're already immediately thinking outside of the box, right? I mean, we have an adventure game. The first thing I do not think about when I hear adventure game is Crokinole. And when you compare to that, I was like, oh, I'm fully on board this. I have not played this yet. Now, is this one of those games that was out of print forever, Chris? Is that how I forget?
I'm not sure. Yeah, because they've had a few Kickstarters.
Yeah.
And whenever it's come back on Kickstarter, they offer like the play mats instead of the cardboard boards.
Okay.
I have cardboard boards. I think they're fine.
Okay.
They also, I think there's always some level of it being out of print or not.
Yeah.
But it's had a few Kickstarters, and it's come back fairly recent, regularly for those. So I wouldn't say that it was probably super out of print, but I know it's had multiple editions. Like this is the third edition, essentially. Like this is an older game, and then it came. Maybe that's what you're thinking of too. Like it came back in the third edition in a bigger way, and that one has been more available. But if you look at like previous editions, it's But this is the third edition that is being showed on the screen as well, and it's the one that I have, which I'll show. Vamp Ruel for 15 seconds.
Yeah. So while Chris does that, folks, I'm going to take a look at this because I'm really interested in this game. I think this game is going to be my jam because of the Crokinole-like aspect to it. That immediately, because I love Crokinole. To me, it's like the greatest dexterity game of all time. However, you throw in this dungeon crawling feel to it, and the just the fun of adventuring, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've got a theme. Heck yeah, I'm going to play this. It looks awesome, and I can't wait to try it. Thank you, Shaz, for the A+ vamping, and want to say thanks to Dinoga for resubscribing. Folks, you're watching the replay later, the VOD on YouTube. We record this live on Tuesdays and over on Twitch, and you can hang out with us sometime. But yeah, how's that for vamping, Chris?
That's great for vamping.
Okay.
Am I good in the frame? Yeah, I'm kind of in the frame.
Here, I'll bring it out here. Okay.
But essentially, I'm really just proud of this insert because it was on Board Game Geek, and it's really just a bunch of boxes. But you can organize all the minions and stuff into their own little categories in a way that I'll go on the right.
There you go.
I'm on the right. There we go. That's a better way to be.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've got all the minions in their different categories. You can see that they're different sizes too. You have a gelatinous cube that you can flick across the board. It's just a pretty. And then I had my little cards down here.
Nice.
And all their different cards to organize. And I found that helped me get it to the table a lot more, even though I haven't gotten this to the table in a while. But I'm very proud of this insert.
That is a great insert.
Very easy. it's good to make for games that are sometimes fiddly too. And I find with the different adventures setting up, this
Yep.
helps me set it up a lot.
So. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
What a great insert, Chris. That's awesome. You know, you were talking about how you've had this game forever. It's not leaving your collection anytime soon. I feel like that's the type of game that you will keep forever because what other game do you have that's like it, right? I don't think there's...
it's so unique.
Yeah, right? It's pretty unique.
Yeah.
So nice call. I love it. I can't wait to actually play Catacombs, our number 12 on the list of adventure games, folks. And nice one, Chris. And we're going to move on to the number 11, which is going to fall to me. And this one is adventure-y, but a little different in theme, I think. And it's our number 11. It is Zombicide. I really like Zombicide for what it is. Like, I don't think it's a deep strategy game, right? But it's a lot of fun. It's got that, I guess you want to call it Ameritrashy feel, where, you're going to be... you know what? I just realized I never heard the term teching up before, Chris, and I love that term. Like, I've never used it. So this is a similar thing where you're teching up, leveling up your characters. This is the Dice Tower run through here. Z is showing all the different cards and whatnot. You're adding to your characters because you've got to fight off zombies, folks. And as you know, hordes of zombies, they don't just come in 1, 2, no, they come in like packs and hordes, and you're trying to complete different missions. They all have missions that you set up beforehand, and you're going to be chucking dice. If you don't like dice chucking, I don't know what to tell you. You probably won't like this, but it's a ton of fun. Just thematically, like the first Zombicide, there was one of the first was like you're in a mall. So think of like, if you're a zombie fan, Dawn of the Dead, right? And it has all kinds of different scenarios. My favorite of the Zombicides now, Z is playing, I think this is the second edition. I like the original first edition Green Horde, and also Black Plague, where they threw the whole like zombie thing back into the Middle Ages, and I think some of the mechanisms there were really neat. You had different weapons, you had a catapult and all kinds of things, and you had these hordes and hordes of zombies like all the other games, and it's always that tense feeling of, okay, it's me and my partners in my adventuring group versus tons of zombies. And what's great is those little miniatures, they really, I don't know, just capture that theme of, oh my gosh, we are never going to see the light of day here with all these zombies. But like a good movie or a good zombie movie, sometimes you'll be able to figure your way out of it. You have these big epic moments like other Command or CMON games where, okay, can we get out? Give me this weapon. I'll share this weapon. I think if you go that way, you'll be fine. Oh, no, you're not. I'm going to go rescue you. And you have those big moments of like, destroying zombies or getting eaten alive. So a lot of fun with Zombicide. Again, there's so many different additions. This is more, for me, it's more of like a blanket. Hey, all the Zombicides, I think, do some things right. I prefer the middle-aged ones, but, there's so many different themes that I think you can find one for you. And that's our number 11, Zombicide.
See, it's interesting. Imagine Eric in the comments says, Marvel Zombies is my favorite version. I dislike hunting for equipment in the other versions. I'm completely the opposite. Like, hunting for the equipment is one of my favorite parts because I really like that random number generator of equipment that can come up.
Agreed.
In searching through the deck and finding something huge, and knowing that like you can go to the vault and get the big great items, or maybe you can stumble upon something great. That is what kind of keeps it fresh for me. But I get it. I get that it's nice also having that personal power, but I really missed the idea of like getting more and more equipment and just throwing it aside.
Oh, agreed.
That's why I like Massive Darkness too, as well. It's because you can change the equipment into better equipment. Yep. I almost put Zombicide on my list. I almost put Massive Darkness on my list. I felt that the adventure and like the story that is told in these games isn't as high as some of the other ones for me, but like I still I definitely contemplated it for the same reason of that character progression, I feel.
Yeah, and that's totally fair, and I think that's true. Like, you're not playing these games for the narrative, right? Like they don't have like a campaign mode, but Imagine Eric says, the Marvel zombies, I just want to hit on this point. That's what I love about this system. Like, there is a Zombicide for you. And, if you're not into looking for the equipment and whatnot, there it is, Marvel Zombies. And I think that's what's really neat about this. And I don't see this game going away anytime soon.
For everyone.
Yeah. I don't see this game going away anytime soon. It's a terrific system and lots of fun. If you love that Ameritrashy, hey, let's chuck a bunch of dice and, go kill stuff, then this is the game for you, folks. So, yeah. Let's move on to our top 10 now. And Richard's got our number 10 all the way from Ireland. Richard, take it away.
All right. It is good to be back, and it is good to be coming to you from beautiful Ireland, where Jen and I are starting our new life adventure. So it certainly seemed like this particular topic hits close to home. And Jen's just right off camera right there looking at me. She just blew me a kiss. That's very nice. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about adventure games. And number 10. Before I get to that, though, numbers 12 and 11, Catacombs and Zombicide. Okay, guys, I disagree completely. Everybody, you got the right to pick whatever you like, and I get it. These are both incredibly popular dungeon crawler games, but when I was putting my short list together of the best adventure games out there, to me, just moving from room to room and killing stuff over and over and over again, that doesn't feel like an adventure to me. It needs to go further afield. There needs to be a sweeping narrative. There needs to be something other than just killing over and over and over again. There needs to be the passage of time. There needs to be a sense of the unknown and all that. Now, I get it. Dungeon crawlers do a lot of that, but to me, they're mostly killing simulations, which is why you're not going to see Gloomhaven, which is in my top 10 games of all time, on this list. Are there adventure-y elements in the game? Sure. Is it an adventure game? For my money, no. And neither is Catacombs or Zombicide. Although I gotta say, Chris, I love Catacombs. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. A very, very fun flicking game. I've played it quite a bit over the years, but enough about what isn't adventure as far as I'm concerned. Let me tell you what is adventure. Number 10 on our combined list is, where are we? There we are. It's the Seventh Continent. Now, you can't say this isn't a big, grand, epic, sweeping adventure. We are on a mysterious continent, the Seventh Continent, traveling from location to location, trying to, solve mysteries, decipher riddles, deal with natural disasters, worry about, starving to death, all kinds of things. And yeah, there can occasionally be some action in the traditional sense, and that's all cool too. But for me, what really makes this game so special is the incredible breadth and depth. If you were to lay out all of the cards that can be explored that create this Seventh Continent, it would fill an entire room. This world is so gigantic. And then on top of that, the really clever way that this game does conflict resolution with multi-use card stuff is absolutely phenomenal. Now, of course, these days, I think people are a little bit more excited about the sequel, Seventh Citadel, but I wouldn't consider that to be much of an adventure game. That's more of a survival horror almost game, whereas Seventh Continent is about, exploring dark, mysterious places and trying to uncover long-lost knowledge, all kinds of cool stuff. It is the epitome of adventure. It is a wonderful system, and it is number 10 on our combined list, the Seventh Continent. So, what do you guys think?
All right. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, Seventh Continent. I remember pre-pandemic, pre-pandemic, I got into, I was able to play a couple of games and really enjoyed it with my local game group. Then, of course, the pandemic hit and we stopped playing it. And then when we were starting to get together again, I don't know what happened to that group, Chris. They left me behind, or I don't know what happened.
I know what happened to that group, Ruel. You played Seventh Continent with them, and they realized that board games are the devil, and no fun can be had from them whatsoever because Seventh Continent was their only bar. I think that's probably what happened to them. in that they were numbed in the head from the countless hours of playing filing system, the game. The librarians, a librarian from the 80s. Yeah, Richard's like, you know what would be great? You just put out all the cards and you look at the picture on the map. You know what would be, and then you have a great time filing those systems back in. You know, it's an adventure, just constantly breaking the system to mine food over and over again, which is absolutely possible in the game. It's hard, it's difficult, and in fact, it is mathematically possible, even when you get to the gold side of the hunters.
Whoa.
I have never hated 21 hours of my life more than the introductory puzzle to Seventh Continent, where they're like, yeah, we want you to do this great introductory puzzle that's going to take you across the map, and then whoopsie, you didn't step one space to the side as you were exploring. Why don't you spend another 7 hours backtracking, going over the same boring checks over and over again as your life force slowly whittles away inside the game and outside of it. It is, you know, what's the adventure? The adventure is making it through that game alive, and still managing to have any passion for board gaming in your life. That's the real adventure. The real adventure is letting a slow degrading of your passions just escape from your eyes as your fingers get cut by the mounds of filing systems that you have to go through, and the eons of meat, just sifting through meat card after meat card, just mining, hoping you find something interesting to do in this just torrential disappointment of a game. They say you're cursed at the beginning of Seventh Continent. That's the theme. Well, I have been since cursed with the memory of this experience, and cursed with this just utter horrendous experience just weighing upon my mind. So of course, myself and Richard have now reverted to the status quo. Even though he's gone away and gone on his own adventure, we now are back to being diametrically opposed from good decisions and poor decisions. Oh, yeah, in case you missed it, Seventh Continent, not very good.
Friends, give it up for Chris George, folks. That was incredible. If you're watching later on the VOD, yes, please clap it up. Drop in the comments how amazing Chris George is. What a monologue, folks. And I wonder how Chris really feels about this game.
On the roof of the world's mouth. That's what it is.
Wow. So, yeah, apparently I didn't play this game enough. I played it a couple of times, and I did not have that experience, but wow.
You know what? A couple times when you first start out, if you play it like for an hour or a little bit,
that's exactly
it's like, oh, this is fun. Oh, this is cool. And then you keep going, and then you just, then it descends into horrible. Yeah, I was like very positive on first. I had the opening little map, and I was like, oh, I died. Oh, I had to restart. Okay, that's exciting. I died after an hour. Try dying after 15 hours, and the game's like, nope, sucks to be you. Do it all again. Nothing's going to change? Nope. Okay. Why?
That was incredible, Chris. I am going to give it up to you. I've never heard a better review, positive or negative, for a game. That was amazing. It's safe to say this is not on your shelf anymore.
Well, I heard Seventh Citadel is better from people who share the same mind of Seventh Continent as me. Would I ever trust those people ever again? Sean, no. But, I'm glad that they liked it.
Oh, that was incredible. Oh, friends, that it may not be for you, but apparently some people like this game. Chris didn't. But let's move on to what Chris did like at our next spot. What you got for us, Chris?
I do agree with what Richard was saying about the concept of adventure games too, right? I was trying to stay away from dungeon crawlers and that sense, and that's why it was lower on my list. I think the problem with these big grand adventure games, especially like Seventh Continent, is like a lot of them that I've played, like Seventh Continent, I was like, well, that's an adventure game for sure. Should it make the list? No, because it's horrendous, but it is an adventure game I've played, and so I deviated to games that were actually good instead of just throwing things on to hit an arbitrary definition. But so with that concept of adventure, I think I'm excited to play the legacy version of this game. I still haven't, but by all accounts, it's going to be a very fun time. And so this is Clank. There are numerous options for Clank, and so I'm throwing Clank in as our sort of base system here with Clank and Clank Catacombs. Clank Catacombs especially because you're going to be revealing the tiles and revealing the map as you go along. And then Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated, the two legacies that are out there, which I've heard are great. I'm just throwing base Clank into there in terms of this adventure of setting forth, getting a treasure, getting hit by a dragon. There's always some sort of memorable moments in Clank. Honestly, it's a bit weak to be added into the adventure theme, if I'm being frank about it. And yes, it is. But you know what? It's better than Seventh Continent. And so well, I'm sure having not played a single lick of Clank Legacy, I guarantee you that Clank Legacy, and Rich is going to think maybe I'm talking about Clank Legacy, and he'll say, oh, but maybe Clank Legacy, I'll allow it. And so then I'll say it was for Clank Legacy. I don't know. You're going on an adventure. You're going through a dragon. We all know Clank. We all love Clank. It's great. Pulling the cubes, get damage for the dragon, push your luck. That's great. We know Clank.
Oh, I
do like adventure games, Goblin, and my favorite ones are coming up. But yeah, I think like you also have to invest so much time into these, like to see the full breadth of these adventure games. And so like I have another one, like I have Daenerys Adventures on my shelf that I'm really excited to get into, but haven't yet. You know, I've had Trudvang, which is really fun, which almost made it on this list. I guess it'd be all these would be in honorable mentions, but they just like weren't quality enough to like hit it in that sense. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to put it on the list just to do it. But I'm putting Clank on there because everybody loves Clank. Yeah. So agree with me in the chat. Let's go. That's our number 9.
That's our number 9. I actually had this on my list too, Chris, but I had the Legacy version of it.
But, you did.
Yeah, it was either going to be Legacy or Catacombs. Like Catacombs feels more dungeon, like a more of a true dungeon crawl because you can't actually see the board. But you know, Richard said, by the way, I love your impersonation of Richard. It was spot on. Not really, but but this game it does feel adventure to me because using the deck building mechanism, you're trying to set yourself up to be able to explore to the best of your ability and also level up your combat abilities as well through deck building. You know, to me, that feels adventure-y. You know, using the new term that I just learned from my friend Chris, teching up. It's part of this game as well. Yeah, you're exploring a dungeon, you're fighting the dragon. Very classic feel to it, but there's something fresh about Clank, right? Because of that, I loved a deck building, but I really love deck building when it has a board, like it comes in a proper board game. And as you can see here in the video, this is, you know, older video that Richard did, the original base game. You're buying cards from the market, you're adding them to your hand, and then you're using that hand to do all the dungeon crawl or adventure things. I think it's a great system. I mean, it's been around for a while in many different versions. You could go adventure in space, you know, Clank in space. Or my favorite, of course, and Chris, I know you're going to love it, the Legacy version is so good.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because the humor in Acquisitions Incorporated is just spot on. It's terrific. So yeah, I think it's a great call. I think it's a really, really solid game and a lot of fun. I'm going to say
that matters to me, Ruel. You and I are here in person, and Richard, we can see their magic of video. We just delete them.
Yeah, I was going to forward through them. I was going to say I'm going to agree with you. This is definitely better than Seventh Continent. So there you go.
Perfect. Yeah. What's our number 8, Ruel?
Let's move on to our number 8. Our number 8, we're going to travel, Chris, to a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago, and somehow, some way, I had to figure a way to get Star Wars onto this list, so I'm going with Star Wars Outer Rim. And if those of you that know me, you know how much I love Star Wars, and I think this game works as an adventure game because, to me, it captures the feeling of, you know, being out there as a scoundrel, my favorite scoundrel, of course, Han Solo, like everyone. Actually, no, I'm more of a Lando fan. But anyways, this game, it's at its heart, it's a pick up and deliver game. And what you're going to do is you're playing as, bounty hunters, try at the outer rims of the galaxy and, try to complete missions and take goods to one side of the galaxy or another. It's really fun. Now, it's another thing. I guess... I don't know, this is the second game I'm talking about where there's going to be dice chucking, but it's because it's a fantasy flight game, you can have those cool custom dice, the 8-sided dice. This playthrough I do a live stream every May 4th, right, Star Wars Day, where I just do a bunch of Star Wars related stuff, whether it's playing games or it's building Star Wars Lego or doing Star Wars trivia. This game is always going to be on my list of games to play on Star Wars Day. It's because you can solo it. My wife, Michelle, she's not into Star Wars as much as I am. And this wouldn't appeal to her. But it appeals to me as a solo player, and there's a really good bot that they've created. There's also a user, a BGG user bot that increases the difficulty level. Oh, there's me in my Yoda hat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
the knitted Yoda, I think. Shout out to my cousin Lane. Oh, there's the break that okay. So anyways, Star Wars Outer Rim, folks. If you're into Star Wars games, highly recommend. I don't think it has the level of complexity or in-depth immersion as Star Wars Rebellion. But I think for a sort of I wouldn't call it a lighter game, but it's lighter than Rebellion. But this is a perfect game if you want to just get your Star Wars, action in all by yourself. You got, about an hour or so. This is a terrific game. Again, it's pick 'em deliver, and you'll see all the characters that you've known to grow and love. There's a Han Solo character. There's, Chewbacca. And there's just something about drawing those two together that's always super exciting to me, where I can get those two in the Millennium Falcon to, go travel to the, my mind's going blank, but you want to do it in 12 parsecs. Anyone
Kessel
in chat?
Run.
I'm sorry?
The Kessel Run.
The Kessel Run. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm really not a true Star Wars fan. But anyways, if you want to make the Kessel Run 12 parsecs, this is the game for you, folks. It is our number
I beat Goblin 8 to it.
Star Wars Outer Rim. Yes, thank you, Goblin. Yeah. Have you played this one, Chris?
Yeah.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, I knew the Kessel Run. Come on now. I thought I earned my stripes.
Better than me.
So this is, I haven't played Outer Rim, but this is a very sort of sandbox feel of a game, right?
Yes.
Am I correct in that?
You are correct. Yes.
You get points doing whatever. And so I thought that's interesting too, in terms of like how BGG classifies adventure game. Like Western Legends was also on there as that idea. And so I can see that, because you can then create your own emergent narrative with sandbox games. Mm-hmm. As they sort of erupt. So you know what? I'll allow it. Great adventure game.
Thank you.
Better than Seventh Continent.
Thank you. Yeah, that's going to be our litmus test from now on. Is it better than Seventh Continent? Yes, it is.
No, yeah.
But let's move on. Let's see what Richard has to say. I'm sure he has thoughts, folks. He's got our number 7 coming up right now.
All right, now this is more like it. Clank and Star Wars Outer Rim. I have to admit, I've never played Outer Rim, but it certainly seems to fit the bill of epic space adventure. And Chris, Clank, honestly, straight Clank doesn't quite do it for me. Not quite adventuresome enough. But if you were to expand to Clank Legacy, then I think you're really starting to scratch a fancy itch by playing through multiple chapters and having storylines and all kinds of additional cool stuff. But either way, excellent choices. And like I said, Clank almost made my shortlist. Speaking of shortlists, each of us right now in this top 12 are only talking about our top 3 games. Stick around after we're done. I am going to continue with the things that just missed my list. I'm going to give you 7 more games. So you're getting a full top 10 from me today. And I'm sure the guys have a couple more they'd like to throw in as well. So even after we're done with the countdown, folks, keep watching, because there's even more adventure. But right now we are moving on to number 7 on our combined list. And oh my goodness, let me tell you how much I love Unsettled. Before we go any farther, Andrew, I want my copy of Unsettled back. Even though I now live in Ireland, I actually sent it to a friend in the States, and he's still got it, and I didn't get it back from him in time, and I miss it so much, because this is such an amazing science fiction adventure game. And when I say science fiction, I mean hard science fiction. The game comes with, I'm trying to remember now, like 5 different planets you could explore. And each planet is full to the brim of really cool alien science fiction concepts as we're a group of scientists, not space marines, not pirates or anything, but scientists who have landed on these planets and are trying to survive, trying to find a way to get off the planet, but dealing with all kinds of really, really cool far out adventuresome encounters. And again, Alien does not do this game justice. The stuff you will encounter here is not like traditional, tropey sci-fi like Star Wars or Star Trek, where all the aliens are just humans with, rubber stuff on their faces. There are truly alien things you will encounter on your mini adventures. And, the game has actually gotten several more expansions since then. I want my Unsettled back, Andrew, please. But the game itself is driven by a very, very cool dice action management system. You can see a little bit on the screen. And if you want to know more, folks, there's a link down in the show notes to go watch my run through. There are links for all the videos we're showing you today down in the show notes if you want to know more. But I'll talk more about Unsettled there, but suffice to say, it is one of the greatest collections of adventures I have ever had in analog form, and it has so opened my eyes to new exciting possibilities. If you're looking for adventure in your board games, you owe it to yourself to check out number 7 on the list, Unsettled.
Okay, I've got to admit, I've not played Unsettled. I've heard nothing but good things about it, though. Everyone that's played it has raved about it, but for whatever reason, I've never seen it like on sale. I think I've seen it once on tables at like a convention, but I don't know if it's getting played as much as, well, maybe it is, and I'm just not around. I don't know.
Well, I think it's difficult. Like I played Unsettled at not this year's level up, but last year's level up. It was taught to me by somebody who really enjoyed the game, but we played the first intro scenario, right?
Okay.
And he had played this intro scenario to introduce it to a bunch of people a number of times. But with the game, you kind of go through the scenarios, and I don't feel like it is a game, especially because it's co-op. And you're going through in like this scenario feel, it doesn't feel like something that people would actively bring and seek out, because each scenario kind of builds a little bit upon each other mechanically, I feel. And so the learning curve, you wouldn't want to throw people into like the third mission in a planet, because you haven't gone through the aspect of like exploring what that planet is and all that sort of stuff. And,
gotcha. Okay, so maybe that's why. Yeah, it seems like the type of game then that you would probably won't, like you said, not bring to a convention, but keep it at home and have the same group of friends play it. Maybe
I would imagine, And so I would imagine that's why you don't see it. But I know that like it was a really good pick. I had forgotten about Unsettled completely because I don't own a copy, and I really enjoyed my play of it when I played it there, and I could see the potential for growth, and I like the systems in it. So it's a fun game if you get a chance to play it. I don't like their storage solution of it.
Oh, really?
I think the boxes are too big, but you could like 3D print yourself some so that it all fits into the weirdly shaped box. So that's just like, I don't know. It's not a good enough reason not to get a game, but it is a good enough reason not to get a game.
Oh yeah,
if you don't have room for it on your shelf.
Exactly. Yeah, and not everything can be stored quite as properly as Catacombs, my friend. So.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, so we're halfway through. Let's move on to number 6. And Chris, we're back to you.
All right. My number 6 is Too Many Bones.
Too Many Bones.
Too Many Bones.
Nice.
Because I didn't play Breath of the Secret Era. That's what it's called, Betrayal of the Second Era. I was going to say Breath of the Wild, and then I had to keep on going with the acronym.
Nice.
I haven't played Betrayal of the Second Era yet. For Elder Scrolls, but I have played Too Many Bones, and I quite enjoy Too Many Bones. I like Too Many Bones Undertow better than Unbreakable. I have both of those. I have reviews on both of those on my own channel. But yeah, Too Many Bones, I think, really qualifies on that idea of growth and adventure and setting forth. You will go through a series of days, which is what gives me that adventure-y feel. You will tech up. You will level up your stats as you go through. You will only level up your stats and never invest in your dice, because it's just always better to level up your base stats. And then you get like one dice and go, dang, I wish I had more dice. But there's also a multi campaign mode where you can face 4 tyrants and go through like a larger campaign style, which I think is fun. There's a lot of game that is packed into this little thing, and even though the story doesn't feel that significant, I really liked the idea that they did with the Automaton of Shale. There was that was the pop-up book that we went through, and because it was a curated selection of what encounters are you making across the way, and I would love to see them do more of that in the future, just like curated campaigns of Too Many Bones, almost like curated scenarios that you can then shuffle into the deck to have a little bit more of an emergent story. But you always do go on that story, you always feel that sensation of growth. I think that was the key for me, is do you feel that growth and have you started out at here? Have you gone on the hero's journey, so to speak, in that like archetypal way? And I think you can go on that in Too Many Bones.
Yeah. I have Undertow, Chris, that's sitting here unplayed. Is that a good entry point for me into?
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
it's
then,
a great entry point.
Yeah.
The thing with Undertow is I find, and I had this there. So you get two characters in Undertow. You get Stanza and you get Duster, I think, or something like that. The one of the wolf, you get somebody who's with wolf companion. You get someone who plays music, and so Stanza is a little bit more complicated. So if you're playing with two people, you would probably want to take the role of Stanza because it has the more complexity. Whoever's the most familiar with the game or with just mechanics in general. And so I think that's the only tough part with Undertow is I find there's a bit of a disparity of complexity between the two characters, but I like that as a jumping in point because I found it Unbreakable, the characters were kind of similar complexity, and I missed that like ramping up of complexity as well. So it gives you a little wider variety in Undertow, I find. And so yeah, I think it's a really great place to start. That's where I started as well. Although I played it maybe once before, but then I played more Undertow.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed it. So
that's good to know. Chip Theory Games, I mean, just the quality of their components, everything, like top notch, right? As you can see here, we're watching Shay's run through of Too Many Bones, and the poker chip style, components and all the play mats, the neoprene mats. Wonderful table presence. I did a run through with Shay. We did Burn Cycle, and that game, wow, just blew me away. As far as it was the first Chip Theory game I'd played. So seeing those components really like, wow, I want to play more of their games. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm super excited because I've got, Elder Scrolls coming in. I just got another update, folks. I checked it. It's coming out tomorrow, or it's coming into my house tomorrow. So I'm super excited about that. But I got to give Undertow a shot first, though. I feel, just to familiarize myself with the system, I guess, or.
I mean, like they're both fairly different, I find, but and I've heard really good things about the Dized tutorial for Elder Scrolls. People have had like great success with that, and less success with like the tutorial as written in the book.
Cool.
Yeah, so when you're starting that, like that's what I intend to do too with the Dized. I'm excited to make that how I learn it, and give that a chance and see what that learning curve is like for me.
Got it. Nice. You'd also mention is it the Ottoman of Shal? I forget the.
Oh yeah, the Automaton of Shale.
Yeah, that. Yeah. Now I have
the automation of Shale, but I think it's the Automaton of Shale.
Automaton. Okay, that to me, I've never seen anything else like it, where it's an actual literal pop-up book. And it's a story. Now, do you play along? Is it a campaign style thing that you're playing through that?
It's just like a one shot. It's like, so in Too Many Bones, you're going to go through and you're going to have like 9 or 10 encounters. And so in Automaton of Shale, it's like you're having 9 or 10 encounters as well, but you have pop-up book to go along with it. So it's
amazing.
Fairly similar. Yeah. You have a unique tyrant that you're facing, the Shale or whatever, the Automaton of Shale.
Nice.
So it's pretty similar. And then they also have this weird deck of cards in the back of the book of the Automaton of Shale, which leads you to this like big old riddle. This group, they call it a riddle, but it's more like an internet scavenger hunt. And I found when I went through as much as I could, but it's for fans who have everything. And so if you don't have everything Too Many Bones, I lost interest in it very significantly, very easily. And I was like, this isn't fun anymore. And I was underwhelmed by that aspect of it, and especially because it was framed as a riddle. But if you frame it as like an internet scavenger hunt, and then they have like help in the Discord you can go through, you can kind of go through and do it a little, but it's fine. I would just enjoy the campaign itself, the guided campaign. That's what I prefer.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks, Chris. That's Too Many Bones, folks. Now let's move on to number 5. I got this one. This is the very opposite, I feel, of Too Many Bones. This is a super simple real-time game, but it does capture the spirit of adventuring in the Indiana Jones sense. This is our number 5, collective number 5, Escape the Curse of the Temple.
I know Indiana Jones made it.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't leave him off the list. This one's a lot of fun. This is one of the first games I really got into when I got into the hobby because, I was playing, lighter games, and I still love this one. It's a real-time tile laying game. You're trying to get out of the temple, right? Before, the things are falling, arrows are shooting at you, and what you're doing is basically playing Yahtzee. You're taking that mechanism of rolling dice and trying to match symbols, but some symbols are good, some symbols are bad. I always like the fact that if you roll, I think it's 3 curses or whatever, idols, just like the cursed idol in Indiana Jones, you're going to be stuck, and you need someone, one of your fellow adventurers, to go in the room and unlock you. I think it's like an actual unlock symbol, so you can start rolling dice again. It's a lot of fun. I remember I've just had so many different fun experiences with this, with new gamers, casual gamers, hardcore gamers. Like I remember, like between some of the heavier games, we'd be playing 2-hour-long Euros, dry Euros. And then we'd bust this out, and it would always be such a, I don't know, not a sense of relief, but just a sense of really like playing something different and, freeing up after you've been sitting there brain burning for a couple hours, trying to manage resources or whatever. Having something like this is a blast. And I have not gotten rid of my copy. I have a couple expansions that I haven't actually played yet, which I'm looking forward to. But this one, it captures that feeling like you need to rush the heck out of this temple before it all comes crashing down on you. And the fun part is, Chris, is they have a soundtrack to it, and the soundtrack really, it's perfect. Yeah. Like, I think I might have, when I bought this edition, I think it was like on a CD, but I know that's on YouTube now. But you just play the soundtrack, and it's just got this really low level, boom, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, some drums or whatever. But then as you get closer to the time running out, it really speeds up, gets louder. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of fun. Then all of a sudden, like, you've lost. I love this game, folks. Oh, this is just like the soundtrack. Those are arrows.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. I can do this for hours, Ruel.
Dude, that's exactly it.
All day.
Folks, that's why it's our number 5, because of soundtracks and fun real-time dice chucking. Mm-hmm. It is Escape the Curse of the Temple. Have you actually played this one, Chris? I swear the soundtrack's exactly what you did right there.
I was just going off for you.
I highly recommend this. This is a lot of fun, man.
All right. Well, let's see what horrible game Richard has in store for us, shall we?
Yeah, Richard, you got number 4.
Okay, moving on. What do we got? Oh, Chris, Too Many Bones. Again, I don't think that would make my list because, again, it's more of just, a combat simulator, as opposed to a broad sweeping, adventure game. But I know most people out there probably agree with you more than me, Chris. By the way, folks, let me know, down in the comments, am I completely crazy with my definition of adventure games since it seems to disagree with Chris and Ruel? Well, actually, with Ruel, not so much this time because Escape Curse of the Temple, this is in my personal top 10. And I know maybe I'm being a bit hypocritical because, hey, isn't this just a dungeon crawl as well? There is very little you can do in a board game design to more perfectly capture the essence of adventure, of feeling like you are Indiana Jones in the opening of Raiders of the Lost Ark, trying to escape from that booby-trapped filled temple, and get out with the treasure, or in this case, get rid of the cursed treasure so you can escape. It is one of my wife's top 10 games of all time. And, even though maybe it doesn't fit my broader, that's why I didn't make my short list, but it's in my top 10. Escape Curse of the Temple is absolutely phenomenal, especially when you start adding all the mini expansions. My favorite expansion of all time, Ro, I'm curious, what's yours, is The Pit. So simple, so brilliant, so atmospheric. But anyway, folks, let's continue on to our combined number 4 on the list, which probably won't come as much of a surprise to a lot of folks. It is Ryan Laukait's masterpiece, Near and Far. And now this is the most Euro-y game on our list today. mean, adventure tends to be a little bit more Ameritrashy, a little bit more go and punch and kill and all that. But this game melds two halves into one beautiful thing. When you are in town, you are doing kind of worker placement stuff, going from location to location to prepare yourself to launch one of many expeditions out into the wilderness. When you're in town, you're near and you're playing a worker placement game. But then once you're ready to go, it's time to go far and spread all throughout the land, and you'll come across all kinds of interesting encounters, people to talk to and help, some things to fight, some disasters to resolve, all sorts of things. But you want to travel as far as you can, pushing further and further afield before you eventually get so exhausted you're like, okay, I got to come back to town. I got to go near. Also, I got to say, as you can see right there on screen, I love the narrative element of this game. Ryan Lockett was not the one to invent the idea of a big old storybook full of snippets. That's been around for a long time. But Ryan perfected it. And I think everybody since Near and Far is riding on his coattails. Now, some people might say Sleeping Gods is Ryan Lockett's adventure masterpiece, and I think that's a brilliant game too, but it cannot come close to touching the wonderful adventures you will have playing through many, many, many sessions of our number 4 combined. It has to be Near and Far.
All right, Richard, thank you for that. I figured a Ryan Lockett game would make it on the list, and yeah, it's apropos that it's Near and Far, a game that I've not played, but I've played other Ryan Lockett games, and the world that he's created is beautiful, and I want to jump into this world Near and Far. Any experience with Ryan Lockett games, Chris?
Yeah, the only one that I played is I just played it very recently, Creature Caravan. That's the only one that I played. And I contemplated it for this list as well. I'm going to have no honorable mentions because I've been saying them all throughout the video.
Nice.
But yeah, I really contemplated it for it because, again, you're kind of going on that journey from one place to another, yada, yada. But it was a little bit too much of tableau building to really warrant to be able to have actually going on. And there wasn't enough of that hero's journey sensation, which was like core to my ideas and whatever. But I really, really enjoyed it, quite enjoyed it. And then they're just republishing 6 Sojourns on GameFound right now. It used to be 8 Minute Empire. And so I don't know if 8 Minute Empire was a Ryan Lockett game. I wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
So then I've also played that one, and it was fine. And I think 6 Sojourns is also going to be fine. But Creature Caravan was quite lovely. Okay. And I know that Near and Far is great. So
yeah. That's interesting, the 8 Minute Empire. I remember talking about this. The new version of it. I forget, are they actually, they're not, I don't think they're claiming it's like an 8-minute game anymore, because I played 8 Minute Empire a few times and never played it in 8 minutes, folks. Maybe I'm just slow. I don't know.
You can play in 8 minutes if everybody takes 1 minute for their turn to also then put their stuff on the board. Yeah, they're not claiming it. They're not claiming it's 8 minutes anymore, but it would be like 30 minutes, I guess. And
that's the sense I got.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay. Let's move on. We've got our top 3 now. Chris, you're going to lead us off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. This is there will be no pushback from Richard on this one. This is a game that I've been actively excited to receive. I've finally received it, and me and my buddy Zach are playing through it now. And we're filming it for the channel. Every one of our playthroughs we're going to film. We filmed like 4. I need to redo the top down of the 5th one, but one of them is released. And so if you want early access, you can sign up for my Patreon, but they will all be released eventually. And this is one that I'm having a great time playing so far, and it is Arydia. So I've talked about Arydia a lot. My excitement about Arydia was off the charts. It was impossible to hit. Oh, look at that.
Look at this.
There we go.
There it is.
That's the playthrough that I was just talking about. That's myself and Zach, we're deciding to inspect that barrel of hay right now. That's what we're doing for no reason, just for fun. But yeah, so Arydia has been really, really solid so far. It is an open sandbox world. It's not so heavy on the story. It allows you to run in the opposite direction, which is what we immediately did, rather than going in the direction that the quick start told us to do. We also found the quick start of it, which was not quick at all, nor helped us start. And so I would, just say read the rule book. But again, that's my own personal learning style. But I also found things that the quick start didn't cover, obviously, and then we assume that we're working with the correct information. Then we aren't working with information. We got to learn these things down the line. It was fine. I just don't think I like those hand holding tutorials because I don't find that I really like learn the game in that way. But you'll go across the land and you'll again flip through and find these map sections. There are places who you can interact with. Right now we're interacting with somebody who is, leaning against this tree stump. And then if you're playing with a person, which I highly recommend that you do, somebody else will hold the card and role play as that person, and they will get role playing points.
Uh-oh.
And so they can only respond to you if you say the certain keywords. So they'll say like an intro, and then they'll say, we came here to fight the monster, and you'll be like, oh, what monster? And then I'll have a keyword to be like, well, the monster was this. And so reference, or you'll say like, hey, look out in the horizon. They'll be like, I don't have any knowledge of that subject. And it's very much a JRPG, the board game. There's heavy roots in that JRPG genre in this that I feel like a lot of campaign games try to emulate, but this one emulates really well. It's got an awesome soundtrack that you can play in the background. It's got gorgeous art as well, which I need to start paying more attention to the art, because that actually like determines the how you can move around things. If you actually look at the art, I find that the lines of them, anyway, this is like nitpicky stuff that we don't even need to talk about. It's a big old adventure. I find that like the lines of the art, whether if it's like obscuring things, or if it's like an impassable border, or if it's a hard cross border, like those things matter for combat and movement. And I find them hard to read if you're just like looking at the thing. But I think if you zoom your focus out, you look at just the picture, then it starts to make more sense. You're like, oh, that's a big old tree trunk. Yeah, I can't walk through my way. But I zoom in to like what are just the mechanics. Give me the dotted line and like the straight line. It's got a really fun battle system. It's got a very fun system where it gives you names, and it gives you like titles that you will gain over the course of the thing. I started out as the Silent. I'm now like the Revived or the Returned, and Zach is Slake the Triumphant Orc Scamp. It's a barrel of fun. It's really, really well done. There are some nitpicky things that I could talk about, and it like most games with a billion cards can suffer from that librarian system slightly. It doesn't suffer Seventh Continent because it never has a thing where it's like, hey, take this card out. Great. Immediately put it back, and now take out card 507 when you're on 4. Which is just a better way to do things. But it's a really good time. John Triffin says Arydia is good, but becomes excellent if Zach is narrating. Yeah, I'm having a great time.
Okay.
Zach is like a great dungeon master. I've any D&D or like RPG campaign I've played with Zach, he's GM'd, and so like he and I always have a great time together. It's great to do with your friends who are wanting to dive into that role playing experience. I think it would be less fun as a solo experience, but the combat is still very satisfying. We're having a really good time with it, and I expect we'll continue to have a good time with it. Something that we've played already 10 plus hours of, and we're actively looking to play more, and I'm excited that we're filming it, because it also like helps us get it to the table more too. It kind of keeps us accountable in that sense.
I like that. So
it's fun.
That's amazing. Like I'm looking at just watching your video right now. It looks really neat. As far you got some characters on there, and just the way you're talking about that. Your focus is just zeroing in on the artwork, and you sort of have to pull back. To me, that's like a good like escape room game. Like I've done escape room games like that where if you look too, you have to like sort of take a step back. It's like, oh, it's right. The answer's been right in front of my nose the entire time. Interesting. So if someone wasn't into like the RPG aspect, what do you think of, like, how do you think their experience will be? You said the combat was still satisfying, right?
Oh, the combat's great. Combat's really fun and innovative. Like, this is one where I was looking at the campaign, and every single point of it, I was like, man, that seems cool. Man, that
Okay.
seems cool. Oh, that seems cool. So it's not just the RPG elements. Like, it's a great production quality. Currently the tech paths are very fun. They come with pre-painted minis, which is awesome.
Oh,
It comes in this
nice.
little like advent calendar style where you like pop them open and pull them
Love
out.
it.
Very like Oathsworn did this as well, but these
Uh-huh.
are painted. I don't think Oathsworns were painted, or it was like super expensive to get it painted. This is just painted as like the baseline.
Yeah.
I really like the combat system too. The even the overworld exploration is fun, and that's surprising to me because normally that like going to the world map is not a fun time. You're
Uh-huh.
just waiting till you get to the next like stage, right? But the
Yeah.
fact that this isn't that really really highlights it for me in terms of how engaging the story actually is. You know,
Wow.
we were getting a bit tired by the end of some of our sessions. We're like, okay, we can see that maybe it could get a bit repetitive, or we were annoyed that we kept like there were some mechanics in it which got a little bit annoying.
Uh-huh.
But for the most part, really enjoyable experience. Have loved diving into the world. Have loved going on this adventure, and just embracing the open world aspect of it has been really fun.
Nice.
So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I know you've talked about this before on the show, so I need to see this.
But
I
now
need
I've
to-
actually played it. Now
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah, I remember you were
it
just
was
so
all
hyped
just like
about
excitement,
it, right?
right? Yeah.
So is
I can-
it so
yeah.
so far it's safe to say it's lived up to the hype and then some. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think it could ever have lived up to the hype because I
Yeah.
was so wildly excited for it,
Yeah.
but it has gotten as close as a game possibly could, and I think that's super high marks for it right now.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Great choice, Chris. And we're going to move on to the number 2. I'll be taking care of this one. Number 2 is a game that, for me, it hit right away. It scratched the itch of what I like in board games, and it just happened to have a adventure theme to it. This was a big hit a few years ago, and I can't believe it's been, I think, almost 5 years now since it's been released. This is our number 2 combined on the list. This is Lost Ruins of Arnak. And
Indiana Jones strikes again.
Exactly. I was just going to say Indy is back, but he's back in this version where it's not real time, but I just talked about how much I love Clank, and it takes deck building and adds it to a proper board game. This does it in spades as well. So you've got your worker placement, you've got your deck building, you fuse those together, and you've got Lost Ruins of Arnak. This is the playthrough that Richard did, and in this, you are doing the different things where you're going exploring, right? You need to go digging, archaeological finds, and you do that through worker placement. And what's really neat is you only have 2 workers. So it's really tight, and like, can you get your workers where they want to go? But thankfully, there's a bunch of like free actions you can do if you play handle your resources right. You have a tech track, it's the scientist track, I believe it's called, where you're moving up and gathering extra resources. You have your spaces that you go to, your worker placement spaces, and with the cards that you play, depending on how you play them, you can get items and artifacts. Sometimes they go into your deck, sometimes they could go, you can use them right away. And then what's cool is I always love when deck builders do this. The thing that you get, like you purchase from the market or whatever, it goes on top of your deck, or you can cycle through it faster, so it doesn't have to. You don't have to sit there with the so-called cards that aren't that good. So it's a really it captures the adventure of Indiana Jones. It doesn't have the same intense play of what I talked about earlier with Escape from the Temple, the Curse of the Temple, but this one is just very, if you like Euro games, which I know a lot of y'all do, so we're here. This, for me, it scratches the itch of deck building and also worker placement, and it's a wonderful game. Highly recommend. It's one of those games that I haven't played all the expansions. I really want to. I've played the Leaders expansion where it changes it up. It's like the perfect expansion where the gameplay is the same, but now we all have asymmetric abilities. And I love that when games do that for their expansions, where they don't like totally change the game around, but they just add to what's already a really solid game. And that's why it's our number 2 collectively, Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Yeah, I've only played the base game as well. I haven't even played Expedition Leaders, which a lot of people enjoy, but I've played the base game solely because it's currently just the base game in the World Series of Board Gaming, because this is it was reintroduced in the World Series, I think, just last year. Yeah, we had our first Lost Ruins of Arnak champion, walked away with the ring.
Nice.
And it was fun to see. I think you can make a case for adventure here. I think well, with the theming for sure, but also to the exploration of the different spaces, right? Like that idea of things going out and discovering new spots to go to. You're literally exploring with your compasses.
Yes.
Is the theme of the game, and then befriending the beasts, which is cool. It is on the adventure theme of Board Game Geek for sure. It's like one of the top, because if you sort by rank, it's super high up there. I didn't really consider it for my list because for me, I was more focused on that hero's journey, and I don't see the sense of that progression as much. It's such a tight game, like you only start with 6 cards, and 2 of them you want to kill and get rid of because they're fear, right? If you get behind on that scientist track or archaeology track, whatever it's called, if you mishandle those resources, you can get so behind so quickly. You can pass, and then somebody else is going boom, 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 chaining things together. It's like, it's a really like tight game, and I think that like tightness overwhelms like the theme for me, just because I'm like, I feel so resource starved, or I'm like so crunched for all of these choices. But it definitely has the Indiana Jones theme, and so you got it covered.
Exactly.
I know they've had a few like expansions too that might even sort of expanded.
And I think one of the expansions, like a mini campaign, I believe, has a little story to it. So I haven't played that. I'm glad that you mentioned, like, it's totally fair, the criticism. I mean, it's a super tight game, folks. And there are times when, you will fall behind if you're not handling the different tracks, optimally. I'm curious, Chris, in your experience with the World Series of Board Gaming, you've called, the games and stuff. Are there any specific strategies that you can remember where, like, do people just go heavy on that scientist track, or what are they doing to get a ring?
Yeah, you definitely can't neglect it. It was really cool because Min and Elwin did the commentary for it this year at the event.
The designers,
so we did it live. Yeah, and so I wasn't I wasn't commentating with them, but I was behind the camera, and that was really fun to see them talk about it. And they're both very good at the game. I also did a video with them of the 2 of them playing and me peppering them with questions to throw them off their game.
Nice.
With like a Hot One style interview with them, just of them playing the game, which was,
Love it.
And they're both very good at their own game. Some designers aren't great at their own game. Some designers are good at their own game, and they are both very good at their own game. It's tight. But just chaining those efficiencies together. There's also some sort of standard openings that you can get depending upon the player count. There's a BGG thread about them of like, hey, if you're sitting in player 2, if you're sitting in like player 3, you can go for like this optimal or this thing. Like if you go for coins first, that means that you're having your pick of the cards. But if you go for compasses, then you need to be hoping to expand on this turn, like either first turn or second turn.
Oh, interesting.
And kind of outlines that initial strategy, which I think is cool. And I think you can find that on BGG as well as a good starting point. And I have a video on how to win, which is on the World Series of Board Gaming. I've got one of how to win any of the games.
Okay.
My one for White Castle and Dune Imperium Uprising are going to come out soon, once I make them. But I've just been practicing and like doing a bit more research and like making sure I become an expert in those games as well.
Oh, nice.
So for the coverage and to help anybody who's attending the event and might be drawn into that game.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to have to go watch that video after we wrap up here. So thanks, Chris. Hey, we've got one more game, folks. Let's send it over to Richard and see what he's got in store for us.
Okay, guys, now we're talking Arydia and Lost Ruins of Arnak. I really, really want to try Arydia. I've never gotten a chance, but I know how excited Chris has been for it. This is not its first time on one of these lists, and apparently it has delivered on the goods because he has put it in his top spot. And I've heard nothing but great things about this. I do really hope to play it someday, and this one does feel like a wonderful adventure in the truest sense of the word. And Lost Ruins of Arnak, I seriously considered putting this in my top 10. It didn't quite make it, although if you include the expeditions module, which adds cooperative play and a sense of going through multiple chapters, this really starts to feel very adventuresome. But straight Arnak, It's it's interesting. It's another Euro game on the list, like Near and Far. But I think this feels a little bit more cold, calculated Euro-y and a little bit less adventure-y, whereas Near and Far kind of bridged the gap for my taste a little bit more. But I can't fault it, and I'm sure there are plenty of people who would agree and put this at the top of their own personal adventure list as well. But I didn't. Let me tell you what I did put in my number 1 spot. And oh, you guys are gonna give me the business here. It's Forsaken. Yeah, I'm putting a game in the number 1 spot that sadly has not come out yet. I covered this a few years ago, back in 2022 when it was crowdfunding, and this game is phenomenal. I have never had a greater series of adventures in board game form than when playing this. And even though this is largely a very Ameritrashy style game, very much in the grand tradition of Arkham Horror or something like that, but this one is set in space. This is basically The Mandalorian, the adventure board game, on a rundown kind of old west alien planet, as there's all kinds of factions and we're bounty hunters or time travelers or all kinds of interesting people with our own rich backstory. But then there's this huge narrative world we can explore and, get into lots of combat, level our characters up and all of that stuff. But the narrative sweep and scope of this game is phenomenal. The gameplay is really brilliant. I especially love, the dice rolling is not just dice rolling to resolve effects. There's actually a dice tower where after you've rolled the dice and they've come out and they've landed on the different shelves that mean different things, you can manipulate the dice after the fact. It's really, really cool. It is so just dripping with mood and atmosphere, and I believe it's been delayed because the publishers ran afoul of some issues with There was some legal wrangling, but I believe they've mostly got it behind them. So hopefully in 2025, everybody else will get to see what I have been talking about for years now. So much so that I would put it in the number 1 spot as the greatest adventure board game of all time. Forsaken. Although I should say, if anybody disagrees with this, don't worry. I'm actually going to do a top 11, I think, after we're done in my also rans. So if you want to strike this from the record because it's not available yet, I'll give you a top 10, and Near and Far is my number 1. But either way, oh my gosh, folks, just watch the stars. Forsaken is coming, and it will be worth the wait. I promise. Okay, back to you guys.
Okay, thanks, Richard. We're going to strike this one with the record. It's not even out yet. Come on now.
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm down for it. I'm down if he's thrilled by its happenings.
Yeah, I guess this is his Arydia, just like Arydia was for you, right? He's super excited about it. I'm okay with it. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
we'll
fair.
Put it on there. We'll let him have it.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to hear somebody bring it up again. It was Game Trace's game, I think, and there were a bunch of trays with it, and I thought it looked fine.
Yeah.
But it's nice to hear that it is moved to the top. Like, getting the number 1 spot is pretty high praise. And that's pretty cool.
Agreed. Yeah. Okay. So there you go, folks. Those are our top 12. Let's move on to the honorable mentions now. We're going to throw it back to Richard because he obviously wants to talk about a lot more games. So Richard, what else you got for us on the list? Take it away, my friend.
Okay, folks, welcome to my full top 10 with, my near misses, numbers 10 through 4, since I already gave you my top 3, and I cannot wait to see what additional games Ruel and Chris came up with as well, but I'm not going to spend much time here, so let's just get right to it. Starting with number 10, or number 11. If you allow for Forsaken, even though it hasn't come out yet, this is really my number 11. Otherwise, if you don't allow for it, it is my number 10, Assault on Doomrock. This is actually the Ultimate Edition that Shay did a great run-through for. And while a sizable portion of this game is a brilliant tactical combat game, actually, and I absolutely adore, I love, it's the most analog, free-flowing representation of fantasy combat we've ever seen. scene. But actually what I really love is the other half of the game when we're doing adventure-y things, traveling from location to location, getting ready for the next big fight. It breaks down, hey, you probably spend about a half an hour adventuring, then you have a half-hour fight, then another half hour in chapter 2, and then another one, and then you were leveling up throughout, and it's absolutely brilliant. It is so full of brilliant mechanisms and an incredibly wonderful sense of humor. This game tries and succeeds to be funny in addition to everything else, much like Clank Acquisition Incorporated, the legacy game. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to call it number 10 on the list. What is it? Assault on Doomrock. Then we've got number 9. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. No, number 9 was This War of Mine. Or I'm sorry. Okay. Hold on. So, number 9 on the list is Escape, Curse of the Temple, which we already talked about, like as our big overlap between me and Ruel. But then I've got number 8 over here, This War of Mine. And not all adventure games have to be lighthearted romps. This is maybe the heaviest game I have ever played, based on a very popular video game series. We are having adventures. We are leveling up our characters, trying to survive in a war-torn, ripped right from the headlines, small country that is going through an internal civil war, and we are just regular people trying to survive. And I thought about whether I should put this on the list or not. But I think it does fulfill my requirements of an adventure. It's a harrowing adventure, it's full of more dark downs than giddy highs, but it is absolutely phenomenal gameplay. Some of the most unforgettable moments you will ever have. Really heart-rending, heart-stopping things as you go through your adventures and have to make the toughest choices you'll ever see in board games. I could not put it on the list, This War of Mine. Okay, then we move on to something a little bit more rip-roaring fun. Adventure on the High Seas, Dead Reckoning, which is a pirate simulation from designer John D. Clare. And while the original Dead Reckoning is of no great interest to me at all, because it's kind of a 4X competitive game where we're, being, buccaneers, taking on merchant vessels and exploring and, doing all kinds of stuff. It's really when you add the Letters of the Mark expansion that it turns into a cooperative experience that Jen and I really fell hard in love with this game. Now, of course, it's from John D. Clare. It's, who is known for his wonderful card crafting system, and it's used to such good effect here to build up your ship crew. You don't level up your own character like in so many of the games we played. You level up your ship and your crew and get them better and better stuff so you can deal with all the problems on your mini high seas adventures. This is honestly the first game I thought of when we talked about doing top 10 adventures, and it had to be on my list. Let's see. Then what have we got? Oh man. Time Stories. I love this series so much. It's basically Time Stories is a system to have adventures, and there are a ton of different expansions that let you have adventures in, ancient Greece or, the Roaring Twenties, or in the future, all kinds of things. Every time you play, you get a new adventure, and it's absolutely brilliant. Some of the best storytelling I've ever seen in board games, because this game forces players to become the storytelling. Because when we come to a new area represented by a wonderful panorama like this, everybody chooses a different card to go and experience, and they can't tell, and they can't read the contents of the card. They have the experience, they make their decisions. Then at the end of the round, we come back together and say, what happened to us? And we become storytellers, telling everybody about the adventures we had. And that's what elevates this game to such a high level. Now, unfortunately, the original white cycle, which was, I think, 13 different adventures, have come and gone. They've moved on to the blue cycle, and unfortunately, they've lost the other thing that truly makes this game special. You're having an adventure in time because it's Time Stories. The original game was basically a Groundhog Day simulator, and they got rid of the Groundhog Day, which means the new stuff I've not been a fan of. But the original white cycle, I think it was 13 adventures in Time Stories, Stories is some of Jen's and my favorite adventuring gameplay we have ever seen, and I highly recommend it, and I've covered every single one of them. So yeah, Time Stories had to make, was that my number 6, I think? Is that right? I've lost track. But I said I wasn't going to take long, and now I'm taking forever. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, of course, the wonderful Legends of Andor, although this is Andor 3, Last Hope. It's actually had so much content over the years. And yeah, this is just a really wonderful adventure game where we travel around and deal with a bunch of quests while also trying to keep the main castle safe. It is constantly under attack from wave after wave of bad guys. This is probably my most combat heavy game that I have talked about today, and it's really saying something for how good this is, considering the combat is very dice roll to resolve, which is something I normally don't like. But here, the gameplay and the adventure and the replayability of the original Andor, Mission 3 had a really wonderful system of being able to mix and match, what the big boss is and what the subquests are. So every time you play, you get a different combination, and it's so infinitely replayable. I absolutely adore it to pieces. One of my favorite cooperative games of all time. Although of all of Andor, it's the original box is still the best. Andor 2 and 3 I had issues with, but the original Andor still stands as one of the all-time greats. And one more, I think. Oh my goodness. Runebound. 2nd edition, not 3rd edition. 3rd edition is okay, but they made some big changes moving away from 2nd edition, and 2nd edition is where it's at. Let's see if I can get some higher resolution. This is from Richard Borg and Martin Wallace, a co-design, and it's another game where we are adventurers, we level up, we travel around the world, we fight lots of things, but we have lots of missions to complete, rescue missions, escort missions, all kinds of things. But what always pulled me in was the adventure of travel. I have to admit, travel is often my least interesting element of an adventure game, unless they do something really interesting. And this game's travel system is brilliant. I'm not showing it right now, but let's go to another spot where where I use these dice. You roll dice when you're going to move, and a bunch of different terrain types show up. And every time you want to move, it's a puzzle of, right, well, with these dice, what is going to be the way I travel through the world? Am I going to head over this way, that way? Oh, I need to go to the mountains, but I didn't roll any mountains. Well, maybe I could go around the mountains, or I should do another thing because, the dice basically represent, the quirks of fate that, oh yeah, you can't go to the mountains now. You didn't roll them, but that means, the storms are too high or something like that. I have always just been so in love, even though all I can do is keep showing close-ups of cards. Please show the board. That's where it's exciting. There we go. Traveling around in this world using that brilliant, brilliant dice travel system. Can I just fast forward and show it just once? What am I doing? There we go, there we go. To rolling them, they're the coolest dice you've ever seen, big and chunky, and then solving that puzzle. The puzzle is still there in 3rd edition, but they weakened it and neutered it, and made it so you can the dice are never really a puzzle you have to solve. They're just like an inconvenience sometimes. But the original Runebound 2nd edition is absolutely phenomenal. One of the all-time greats for a true sense of adventure as we race against the clock to save a fantasy world, and I love it to pieces. And that would have been, I believe, my number 4. And then number 3 were 7th Continent, or 4 was 7th Continent, and then Unsettled, and then whatever else I talked about. What did I talk about? Oh, Near and Far, and then Forsaken. Okay. Oh, I'm all over the place, but looking forward to hearing what you guys think and what everybody else thinks down in the comments. Let me know. All right. See you all next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Richard, for all those great games. For honorable mentions, the one that didn't make it on mine that Richard pointed out was Dead Reckoning. I really like that one. Again, it's he says talking about John D. Clare. It's got that card crafting thing, and yeah, that's a wonderful game. But all my other honorable mentions have been mentioned. You, Chris. Wow. So we just had an adventure, folks. The internet blew up on us. Chris, what happened? I don't know what happened.
Well, We had a few tech issues. So Twitch decided to stop streaming. So apologies to everybody who was watching on Twitch. But we were finishing up anyway and just covering some other adventures and adventure lists and talking about the concept of sinking hours into adventure games and the joy that can come from sinking those hours into those adventure games, and then also the amount of games that there are out there which provide these exciting adventures. And that's why I like sort of one-off, like, or one-shot things that don't have too much of a campaign focus, but also have that like single story mode. Because then it feels like the pressure's a little off on me. And I think Skull Tales has that too. So we might as well shout out our sponsor of the episode and thank them.
Thank you to Skull Tales. Thank you, folks, for watching the R&R Show, episode 103. Until next time, we'll see you later. So long. Take care. Bye-bye.